Hi, my name is Karen Walshe. I'm a qualified nutritionist and I'm here today to speak to you about improving immunity and your gut health on behalf of the Central Coast Council for the Live Well 2020 Festival. So I've prepared a presentation for us to go through and I'm going to share you my screen. So here we go. Improving immunity and gut health. So just a bit of a background of who I am. My name's Karen Walshe. I'm a qualified nutritionist and herbalist. I've been in clinical practice since 2013 and I currently work out of Love and Tonic in Terrigal and also Central Coast Physio Lattes at Holgate. I am currently doing Zoom and Skype consultations and telephone consultations until further notice. I have been a keynote speaker at MS Nurses Australasia Annual Conference for 2019, where I presented the role of gut microbiome and the role it has in disease progression. I also created and delivered the Eat Better, Feel Better program for Central Coast, supported by Central Coast Council and the Central Coast Club. So thank you to everybody who attended those. They were free workshops and they were very enjoyable. I am also a volunteer leader for local area health district for Central Coast for better health workshops. And these are for people who suffer with chronic illness. It's a free 6-week course that people can attend. So what we're here to talk about today is immune health. Our immune system is so complex and it's made up of these specialized cells and proteins, and they're used to defend our body from infection. Our immune system keeps a record of every infection we've ever had and it creates an antigen. So if we are infected by the same infection in the future, whether it be a germ or a pathogen, it knows how to destroy that quickly and returning us to health. In healthy individuals, our immune system can be activated in the following ways through pathogens. That could be a virus or a bacteria, and this is a really normal response in our body. It can be affected by injury, so we'll have the white blood cells go to the site of injury just to make sure it cleans up any infection that may possibly enter the bloodstream. And also foreign objects. Sometimes people will put a foreign object into their body and you'll see that the body starts to push it out. That's the immune system working effectively. Now, yes, the immune system has a normal response to keep us well and safe and healthy, but we also have some cases where people's immune system isn't working properly. So it's an abnormal immune response. And we can see this in people who have an intolerance or allergy to foods or their environment, for example, peanut allergy or celiac disease. We also have some immunodeficiencies where people are unable to absorb certain vitamins from their foods and minerals. And we also can see autoimmune disease, which we see quite commonly in a chronic disease case. So someone like multiple sclerosis, someone with lupus, somebody with coronary heart disease, and even type 2 diabetes and type 1 diabetes, amongst other conditions. So what we know is that there is an intrinsic link between the gut and our immune system. And so I thought it would be best to talk about where the gut is. Our gut it's very simple. It's the passageway in which our food passes. So we start off here in the mouth where we start masticating or chewing our food, and it's mixed with salivas. And this is where our carbohydrates start to get broken down. It's then propelled down into our esophagus and into our stomach where the proteins are broken down. Vitamin B12 is actually produced in here. So it's really important that we've got great gut function and adequate hydrochloric acid to break down those foods so we can use them as nutrition. We have some other organs within our body that are the specialized organs like the pancreas, the bile duct, and the liver that are actually involved in the digestion of food. We then see the food move down into our large intestine over here. And, it travels into our small intestine where all the nutrition is absorbed and all the water is taken out of your feces. Moves into the large intestine. Again, more water is taken out. And this is the largest site of where we're going to find our gut microbiome. So it passes up through here and then down out our back passage as feces. So food for our body is essential to our daily life as it creates energy, growth and repair of our tissues, and it makes our bodies function properly. So we really are what we eat. The three major functions of our gut is a barrier between the internal and external environment. You think of it as a hose. See, it's not inside our body, but it's externally. So it's a way of keeping pathogens and undigested food out of our body. And it prevents undesirable germs, bacteria, and toxins from entering our body. So it's really important that we have this really strong gut integrity to improve our health. The second major function is the absorption of nutrition. We break down our food and liquids, and it allows the absorption of nutrition. If we've got great gut function, we're going to get the best ever out of our food and liquids. With our number three, we've got our immune function, because our gut is the site of interaction between the body's largest concentration of immune cells and our microbiota. Our microbiota is that gut bacteria that we've been hearing all about. And we know now that not all bugs are bad. Some bugs are, and that's why it's important that we practice proper hygiene, as we've got the COVID-19 virus that's a pandemic at the moment. So it's super important that we social distance like we are at the moment through video conferencing. Make sure you practice those proper hygienes. The key to our immune are our bugs in our gut. So that's known as microbiota, also known as microbiome. There are hundreds of millions of dollars being spent on lots of research projects, and you'll be able to look some of these up that I've listed below. And these research projects actually have shown us, and this is medical science, has shown us that there's a link between the gut microbiome and our immune system. So most people who have a chronic illness will have an imbalance in their gut microbiome. There's an imbalance of gut microbiome in people who are suffering obesity, and we have links of the gut microbiome and its impacts on mental health and disease states. We are now starting to see fecal matter transplants take place with some great success. The use of special strains of probiotics are currently being used as well. And we've seen this with immunology in reducing anaphylaxis in kids with peanut allergies. But you must, if you're going to go down this case, you need to do that with a qualified medical immunologist who actually knows what they're doing. It's not any strain of probiotics is going to help you here. Each strain of probiotics, and there are many, have their own function. So what is microbiome, everybody? I hear you say. Microbiome is all the bacteria and the viruses and the fungi and protozoa and the archaea living inside and on your body. There's over 100 trillion of these bacteria. 50% of our cells are actually bacteria cells, and the other 50 are human cells. But if we got all the genes and we linked them up, what you'd find is that we are more bacteria than what we are human. The majority of these bacteria that live in and on our body reside in our large intestine. And these microbiome can either be mutualistic, so they benefit both the bacteria and the host, yourself. They can be commensalism, so the bacteria benefits and the host isn't harmed, or it can be parasitic, which means the host is harmed at the benefit of the bacteria or organism that is living within inside your body. And so what we know from the research and the science that's currently being conducted, and remember it is in its infancy, that microbiome can determine our risk of obesity, chronic disease, and even influence our circadian rhythm. And as we talked about earlier, impact on our mental health. So why is it important? Gut microbiota helps us to stay healthy. And it does this by making sure that our gut has a really good intestinal barrier from the internal and the external environments. It influences our nutrient intake for food, It regulates our metabolism, and it plays a role in our energy. Prevention of the colonization of pathogenic organisms, so it helps to prevent any organisms from embedding in there. It tries to sweep them out, and it regulates our physiology, such as the maintenance, growth, and repair of all our tissues. It really plays a key role in our immune health, which we will show you in a little minute. So think about your gut microbiome as an ecosystem like the Amazon rainforest. Given the right conditions like water and sunlight and, having the breaking down of the feces to fertilize the plants, its health will actually be really good. So the number of species of animals, they'll be living happily, and the forest will be growing. But given the poor conditions, what will happen? What can potentially happen? It can be disastrous. So if it lacks water, it lacks sunlight, or if those organisms are out of balance, then we can see effects like trees dying and potentially fire. So you can think of your digestive system like this. If you're eating lots of fiber and good healthy food, you are going to look like this picture over here. And if you're drinking alcohol and smoking and eating the foods and consistently eating a lot of foods in large amounts that aren't good for you, your intestines can be looking like this. So what are the factors that affect our gut microbiome? By the age of 3, our gut microbiome has formed, and the things that will affect our gut microbiome are things like the mode of how you are birthed. So if you're a cesarean section or a vaginal birth, whether or not you're breastfed, the food you eat is super important because that's what feeds the gut microbiome. Whether or not you smoke or drink, adequate sleep, exercise is another really important one that affects gut microbiome. When you exercise, you produce lactic acid, and that is a food source for your gut microbiome. Your level of hygiene is going to determine your gut microbiome. So you may potentially eat something without washing your hands, and you may get a virus that's not necessarily beneficial to your body, and you will be sick. So that will form, for that transient period of time, your gut microbiome. Or you could get a parasite and need medical treatment. And then we've got your integrity of your gut lining, which is super important. We'll talk about how to improve this in a minute. Your age can determine your gut microbiome. Any medication you're on can affect your microbiome. Where you grew up or where you were born, we find that people who live in the country have a better gut microbiome than people who live in urban areas. And also the way that our food's manufactured and the chemicals that we consume. So that's just a bit of an idea of how your gut microbiome is formed. So what is going to be a healthy gut microbiome is going to be different for everybody because we do have trillions of species of gut microbiome. And there's been so many we haven't even discovered yet. So what is healthy will differ from person to person, but from the research we've conducted so far, what a healthy person is considered to have is diversity. So it's the amount and different types of species of gut microbiome is considered. The more diversity you have, the more healthy you are expected to be. How resilient your gut microbiome is when it's exposed to things like antibiotics. How quickly does that gut microbiome bounce back? Or when it's exposed to environmental toxins, how quickly does that microbiome balance grow back? And then what we're really, the science is really showing us is here, number 3, it's mostly the bacteria that create the short chain fatty acids or the beneficial byproduct, which we call the secondary metabolites. If they're anti-inflammatory to the body, they are beneficial. So it's more function over form. So you could have a small amount of gut bacteria in your gut, but they're really good ones that are very beneficial to your health. Or you could have a large range of bacteria in your gut, but the colonies of the bad ones are actually elevated, creating inflammation in your body. So everybody's really individual, and that may explain why different treatments in medical treatments work differently for different people. And also different diets work differently for different people. There are so many different symptoms that can be related to your gut microbiome, and these are very non-specific, but it's a consideration. If you've got digestive upset, if you've got a lot of gas, bloating, food allergies, problems with the immune system, irritable bowel syndrome, headaches, memory loss, anxiety, acne, these can be symptomatic of an imbalance in the gut microbiome. So, can we test for the gut microbiome and gut health? Of course we can. We have a lot of functional tests that we use at our clinics with our clients. Your doctor can perform certain gut health tests on you. And in our clinic at Central Coast Physio Lattes and Love and Tonic, we offer stool tests. So that's testing your poo. So there's PCR testing. You can also get that done at your doctor if you're concerned that you may have some gut bacteria imbalance. So you may pick that up through lots of pain in your stomach and diarrhea potentially. We can also do the full gut microbiome mapping, which actually tells you exactly what type of and species of bacteria are in your gut and whether or not they're beneficial or harmful to your health. And then we can test your gut permeability. There is a range of things that we can do. With your breath test, we can test for bacterial infection and intolerances. We can test for lactose intolerance through a breath test. And then we have a whole range of blood tests that we can help you with to determine if you've got an allergy or intolerance to food or environmental factors. We can test for organ functions and we can also test for nutritional status. So how can we fix an imbalance in the gut microbiome and improve our immunity? So first of all, what we need to do is we need to sit down with you and find out what's going on with your diet and lifestyle, because it might just be a few little tweaks that we can do there that will actually have you on your way and feeling better in no time. And then if needed, we can refer you to some pathologies so we can get some bloods or some functional tests done. You may have some bloods already and you just bring them along and we can investigate those as well. Stage 2, dietary and lifestyle changes. So we will recommend dietary and lifestyle changes that will help improve your health and immunity. And if it's required, and we use this sparingly, is supplementation to help you get back onto your track of being healthy and well. And then we look at stage 3. You may need referrals for further medical intervention, further tests, and you will investigate what's needed specifically for your case. So with my clients, what I like to do is I like to work with them to achieve small changes that are sustainable, that they can keep over time. And this works really well. They come back, we review what's working, what's not working, and then we continue on from there. I like to use food first and foremost as medicine. And in the words of the forefather of medicine himself, Hippocrates, let food be thy medicine and medicine be thy food. And I take it one step further. If you do not eat healthy, if you do not eat well and look after yourself, you will be using medicine as your food. So dietary and lifestyle can rapidly alter your gut microbiome in as little as 24 hours. So what will create a healthy gut microbiome is a healthy diet. Fiber is the main source of food for your gut microbiome, but we need to remember we have to feed our human cells as well. So it is widely agreed amongst all of the practitioners that a Mediterranean diet is considered one of the best diets as it does not exclude any of the 5 food groups. It is high in fiber and omega-3 essential fatty acids. Now, this is what we prescribe for healthy people. Now, if you've got a specialised condition, you need to seek specialised treatment through a qualified healthcare practitioner who specialises in nutrition. So those 5 food groups are vegetables, that includes legumes and beans, fruits, grains and cereals, lean meats, poultry, fish, eggs, and meat alternatives like your nuts, seeds, tofu, legumes, and beans. And we need to make sure that we're combining them properly. So we've got all the essential amino acids, which are the proteins, which can create the proteins. And then we consume low fat where possible, dairy and dairy alternatives, just depending on what age group you're in. Dairy is an excellent source of calcium. It's also, it's delicious. A lot of people do enjoy it. And if you don't like dairy, that's fine. There are so many dairy alternatives out there in terms of your nut milk. Exercise may benefit your health. We know how many benefits exercise has to your health. It strengthens our muscles, it releases endorphins, and it makes us feel great. But it also importantly produces the lactic acid, which I spoke about earlier, and that is a food source for your gut microbiome. So here we see with a fiber-rich diet, you can see how the mucus layer over here is actually nice and thick. So that's a great intact intestinal barrier. And your gut's going to be functioning really well, getting all the absorption of nutrition that you need, and it's going to keep away these pathogens. These are, foreign matters that we don't want entering our bloodstream. And here, this is a fiber-free diet, and you can see that the mucus layer is being eaten away from these bacteria, and it's leaving an opportunistic situation for these pathogens to actually invade our bloodstream. So as we can see, our Western style diet does lack the fiber it needs. Women, you need 25 grams a day, and men, you need 30 grams a day. So this equates to around about 5 cups of vegetables and a cup of nuts and seeds. Okay. So here, protein is also super important. It helps provide some neurotransmitters and branched chain amino acids, which are really important in maintaining our health and well-being. And with our fiber, we must remember our grains as well, because they are the precursor to some of our very important neurotransmitters as well. Having a healthy, balanced diet is super important. So if you want to improve your gut health and your gut microbiome in particular, what you want to be looking at is fiber, and particularly resistant starch. So these here are the list of fibers, soluble fibers found in fruits and vegetables, oats, barley and legumes. Insoluble fiber is actually going to help prevent constipation. So these are things like whole grains, bread, cereals, nuts and seeds. And then we have those resistant starches, which travel all the way through our digestive system and come out the other end. And these are the things that the gut microbiome absolutely love to eat. So this can be found in undercooked pasta, underripe bananas, and cooled potatoes and rice, wild rice. So it's not digested in the small intestine, like we said. So I thought it would be helpful to show you 4 foods for good gut health. So number 1, plant foods. They're high in fiber. They are high in antioxidants. They're going to feed your body. They're going to produce short chain fatty acids, which reduces inflammation in the body. It promotes beneficial gut bacteria, and it improves your gut integrity. It metabolizes your bile acids, so it reduces inflammation and improves your ability to synthesize vitamin D, improving your immunity. We modulate your immune function via intestinal and epithelial cells, improving gut integrity because it feeds your intestinal cells. So it's super important to have your plant foods. Number 2, foods high in tryptophan, like milk, like bananas, apricots, turkey. They're amazing choices that have foods high in tryptophan that are going to help to modulate the immune response, reduce inflammation, it heals intestinal wounds, and maintains a great gut bacteria balance, and it helps gut barrier integrity. The other thing is it's a precursor to serotonin, which is that feel-good neurotransmitter. With 80 to 90% of your serotonin being produced in your gut, it's very important that we have good gut function. Other foods like high in omega-3 essential fatty acids, they reduce inflammation and improve gut integrity. In our Western diet, we do not consume enough. we may consume 1 omega-3 to 25 omega-6, which is driving up chronic illness. We need to be consuming a lot more of these foods. We need to be consuming a lot more cold water fish, linseeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds, and walnuts, and flaxseed oil. These are soybeans here for people who like soybeans. And finally, what we're looking at is fermented foods, because fermented foods are really important. They are probiotic. They help feed the gut microbiome through a mechanism called cross-feeding. So your probiotics actually offer something similar to this, but in terms of your fermented foods, the foods we're looking at are your pickles, your sauerkrauts, your kimchis, and your yogurts. They're great sources. You've got dairy-free yogurts, you've got coconut yogurt. This will help to improve and rebuild your gut integrity. And the foods, of course, we should be avoiding are foods that impact negatively on our gut microbiome. And we know these foods not to be good for us. So it's best to limit or avoid the things like processed foods containing lots of additives, foods high in saturated fats, diets high in animal protein, and food and drinks high in sugar. So we talked about probiotics earlier, and the role of probiotics is really, it just passes through our digestive tract to help increase the commensal bacteria that is good for us. So it helps to get those balances right. So that's like going to a dinner party and somebody comes and cleans up afterwards. That's exactly what these probiotics do. They clean you up after a round of, say, antibiotics, but they also help to support you ongoing. So they're designed to rebuild the native commensal bacteria, suppress any pathogenic organisms, improve genetic expression of native commensal bacteria, and supports the bacterial to create a barrier and great integrity for gut function. Okay. So do supplements help? Supplements do not replace a healthy diet. Probiotics are transient and they help with the downregulation of inflammation within the body. Given the right strain and the right dosage, this is why you need to see somebody who knows what they're talking about and who's trained in nutrition. Some supplements can provide symptomatic relief, but again, you need to have the right dose for you. They can improve your digestive function, improve your energy, improve your mood, improve your immune, and they can also reduce inflammation and pain. So it really is important to see a healthcare practitioner because not one size fits all. So the take-home messages that I'd love for you to take home from our presentation today is gut health is super important for your immune system and overall health. 4 foods that you really need to focus on are foods high in fiber. So we talked about fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, legumes, grains. They're super important. Foods high in tryptophan. So you've got your milk, you've got your dairy, you've got your bananas, your omega-3 essential fatty acids, you've got your cold water fish, you've got your chia seeds, hemp seeds, and you've also got your flaxseed oil and walnuts, which is super important. And then you've got your fermented foods like yogurt, kimchi, sauerkraut. And I really urge you, if you are having any digestive issues or if you want to improve your gut health, to seek advice from a qualified healthcare practitioner. And if you have any questions and you would like to know more, or you'd like to get a handout on a cheat sheet how to eat, or 5 foods to fight inflammation, please feel free to contact me on the following details. So you can contact me at info@eatbetter.com.au or follow me on Facebook at Loving Nutrition Australia, or feel free to give me a call. Thank you for your time, and stay safe, stay well, and improve your immunity and your gut health.